Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's another beautiful day to be alive and be part of these discussions that are slowly changing the face of practice in the region. My name is Gabriel Achaye, and I'm speaking to you live from the East Africa Law Society House at PPF Njiro in Arusha, Tanzania. Welcome to our webinar session organized by our Young Lawyers Committee discussing generative AI, harnessing the potential of Gen AI to remain competitive in a rapidly evolving landscape. Now, as you all know it, today, the latest trend of chat boxes that you have today can be obsolete the next day. Why? Because technology is advancing at a very fast rate. And this afternoon, we are privileged to have a panel that is going to dissect and discuss generative AI. What potential can we derive from it as young lawyers or as senior lawyers in practice, and how can we remain competitive? The world is changing rapidly, and technology is something that we have to live with. And this afternoon, we are streaming live on Facebook. Our Facebook page is East Africa Law Society. So you could tell a friend to tell a friend who doesn't have the link to join us and catch us on Facebook. We will have this recording on our YouTube channel. So you please be sure you will be able to catch that recording therein. But that said, allow me to introduce our moderator for this afternoon. He's a good friend and brother of mine, Mr. David Leonis Ndika, who is a certified professional mediator in Tanzania. He's an advocate of the High Court of Tanzania, and he's highly specialized in areas of international law, commercial law, labor law, land law, and family law. He's an ADR enthusiast, and he has very keen interest in mediation, arbitration, and negotiation. He serves as a team coordinator for the of the Team Coordination Committee of Africa in the Moot organization that seeks to unblock the potential of international commercial arbitration in Africa and empower the future of young lawyers with training and resources. Mr. Ndika is also a member of the Young Lawyers Committee of the East Africa Law Society. He is a member of the Young ICCA and Tanzania Institute of Arbitrators. Mr. Ndika, I'm really profoundly honored to host you once again, and I'll hand this over to you to introduce your panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Welcome to this session on generative AI, harnessing the potential of Gen AI to remain competitive in a rapidly evolving legal landscape. Today, we have a stellar panel who is going to share with you on this topic, and I'm happy to be with you all. Before I get to introduce them, I would like to ask you all to engage with us in this session. In case of any questions, feel free to the Q&A session after the panelists have spoken. And thereafter, when that time comes, all your questions will be addressed. Please ensure that your microphones are muted, and let us allow the panelists to speak and share what they've prepared for us today. Before I also introduce the panelists, I'd like to share a brief introduction. It's in addition to what Gabriel has already said, it's worth noting that at the heart of this new industrial revolution lies generative AI, a sophisticated subset of machine learning that endows systems with the ability to craft and synthesize content with a previously unattainable level of creativity. It is no secret that the legal world has been taken by storm with the availability of commercially available generative artificial intelligence. tools, which has contributed to an exponential increase in sophistication and ability. As the underlying models continue to evolve and improve, the tools become more powerful, increasing both their applicability to legal work and their implications for the existing law in the process. That's the importance of building the capabilities of legal practitioners in this new and emerging era. So I hope you'll go with us, and so that you can fully learn how, as legal practitioners, you can use these tools to your advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce you to the first speaker for today, to introduce Miss Princess Caroline Mutisia. Miss Princess Caroline Mutisia is an experienced advocate in Kenya with over 10 years experience in business or commercial law, property law, transport law, banking, finance, commercial litigation, legal audit, and training. She has done numerous cross-border transactions in Africa and beyond, acting for clients from United States of America and Asia. She has acted for startups, middle-sized organizations, large corporations, and private individual clients over the years. And thus, she has inevitably become a subject matter expert with international standards of legal practice and practice management. As the managing partner of CR Advocates LLP, a top law firm in Kenya with over 20 years cumulative experience, she understands legal processes and transactions as significant, costly, and sometimes stressful. Her aim is to reduce the hassle, time, and expense involved by personally supporting clients every step of the way. She also understands that the world has now become a global village. Therefore, we have invested in top-notch. She has invested in top-notch ICT systems and tools to enable them to serve clients more effectively, efficiently, and convenient from wherever they are in the world. They provide most of their services to cater for the ever-evolving legal practice and consumer needs so that clients get the most competitive fees and value for money based on the volume and value of the business, nature and complexity of transactions, subject matter and importance, time engaged, and client-specific needs. She believes that even the best teams grow and the best can be better. Therefore, there's always room at the top. So CR Advocates LLP is the Center for Legal Service Excellence and giving you peace of mind and time to do what your best at with is. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Miss Princess Caroline Mutisia. Miss Caroline, Miss Princess Caroline, you are welcome. Miss Princess Caroline will take you through the opportunities and impacts of GenAI, and she'll also provide the basics of generative AI. You are welcome, Miss Princess.
Thank you so much, David. Kindly allow me to share the screen. Yeah, thank you so much, David, for the introduction. Like you said, my name is Princess Caroline. I'm talking from Nairobi, Kenya. Pleasure meeting you all and happy to share with you our experience and also a bit of my research regarding this subject. As you all know that it caught up by surprise, everyone by surprise, but we have to learn through the process. So I'll take a few minutes just to talk about the subject. I've already been introduced. Maybe what I can also add is that in 2022, we had the Nairobi Legal Awards in Kenya, and the subject was technology, law and tech, and CR Advocates LLP was emerged as the winner for that particular category. And therefore, we are very, very passionate about technology because we have seen the benefits it offers to us. So my subject today that I'm sharing is Embracing the Future, the Opportunities and Impact of Generative AI on Legal Profession. So before I proceed, I just wanted us to even understand a couple of terms when it comes to AI. Because you see, AI, generative AI is just a subject, is a subsection of artificial intelligence. So we have generative AI. We also have different types of AI. We have reactive AI, we have predictive AI, we have prescriptive AI, and these names are usually derived from the uses. How do we use the AI? So very briefly, probably I can just describe for you or define for you what generative AI is. And it is that AI that generates new content based on training data. This includes text, images, music, video, and much more. And the application of generative AI comes into when we are doing content creation, designing, assistance, data augmentation, and so forth and so forth. Now, reactive AI is AI that responds to its environment or input without any prior memory or past interactions. So it really just focuses on current situations. Then we also have predictive AI that analyzes historical data to make predictions. And then we have prescriptive AI that only predicts outcomes now based on suggestions and courses of action by analyzing different decisions. A good example of application is advanced decision support in business management and all that. So we also have cognitive AI that attempts to mimic human thought processes and is capable of interpreting speech and also images to respond in a human-like way. A good example is those advanced chatbots that also have advanced voice response systems. We also have autonomous AI that operates in real-world environments with some degree of autonomy. This includes also decision-making with minimal human interventions. Analytical AI also uses advanced algorithms to analyze complex data and also derive insights. We also have emotional AI that recognizes and stimulates human emotions. They have emotions. It wants to act like it feels the way a human body would feel, do facial expressions, mimic the body languages, and then they can be able to answer questions depending on behaviors. And then we have conversational AI. This is very common, that engages in dialogue with users, often employing natural language processing to comprehend and also has human-like responses. This one is usually mostly applied in virtual assistants like Alexa, Siri, those kind of chatbots. You will see that they are using conversational AIs. It's very important to understand that generative AI, of course, it's developing from other subsections so that we can understand. There's the traditional AI, and then now there's the new one, which is now generative AI. So because today's subject, we are talking about the generative AI, I wanted to go just into its details. And as we've just talked about, it's a subset of artificial intelligence technology that can generate new content or new data, either through text, through images, through music, synthetic data models. So unlike the traditional AI that is designed to analyze and make decisions based on existing data, the generative AI creates entirely new data or patterns, which usually would mimic human creativity and thought process. Once it does that, it doesn't replicate the data that has been given to it. It will use its own model to give an answer based on the experience that has been achieved through training. So let's go to how does it work? How does generative AI work? Now, it's a three-phase process whereby the generative AI first is given data, is trained on data. So they are trained on large data sets, learning patterns, styles, and structures, which relies entirely on data. Then this phase is very critical because the quality and diversity of the training data will directly influence the output's accuracy and the relevance. So after training, now we go to modeling. What is modeling? After training, these models use various algorithms to generate now the outputs. Some popular models include generative adversarial networks, transformer models, variational autocons, and then each has unique capabilities which are suitable for different types of generative tasks. Because as you've seen, we using generative AI, we can have different outputs. If it's a text, if it's a voice, if it's a video. So depending on the output that you want, the training will be based on that. And then after that, there's application. Once it's trained, these models can generate new instances of data that are statistically similar to their training set. But the only greatest advantage of generative AI is that it doesn't replicate the data. For example, if you feed the data to that model, when you ask a question, you will not get the answer as the way the data was input. They will use their own understanding and experience and analytics so that they can give you an answer as if it's a human being giving you an original answer. So that's the greatest difference. The regulatory framework for generative AI. Regionally in East Africa, for example, you realize that Kenya has been very proactive when it comes to ICT and data protection. Even though we do not have in Kenya a very straight and specific law that is addressing AI, there's a lot of progress and there's a lot of activity towards, creating policies and also using other laws to try and address the impact of generative AI and artificial intelligence at large. For example, we have the Kenya Information and Communication Technology Policy that is aimed at encouraging the responsible use of AI and any other technologies. We also have the Data Protection Act. We also have now partnerships with World Economic Forum Center so that we can try to address the matter. However, I know that the Parliament is really working and also thinking to see how we can come up with specific laws that address specifically the AI. In Rwanda, we still also don't have, unless I am not sure, don't have specifically laws that have already been enacted for the same. However, people are still agitating, the government is still agitating, and of course, Rwanda has always been in the forefront when it comes to controlled environments. So we are also expecting to see developments on that front. Uganda and Tanzania, I also believe that we are still developing in terms of coming up with specific laws that are addressing this particular area of artificial intelligence. I can say in Africa, we are in the learning process. We are in the adoption process so that now we can come into the control process, whereby now the governments will have to come up with laws that would then address specifically these matters. Now, internationally, we have the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, whereby they have come up with something that we call principles on AI. These principles has been adopted by many countries so far, and they provide a standard to foster innovation in AI while ensuring it is designed in a way that respects human rights and also democracy. We also recently in 2023 March, we have seen the enacting of the EU AI Act. It is very recently enacted, and it's actually the pioneer law that has been acted in this front. It is the most comprehensive regulatory framework so far when it comes to regulation of AI. It categorizes the AI systems according to their risk level and also imposes requirements accordingly. This act is influential and could also serve as a model for other regions, including our East African community. We also have UNESCO that has given some recommendations on the ethics of AI. These recommendations provide an international standard to ensure AI systems are aligned with ethical principles and human values. So for countries like us in East Africa, we might also need to borrow a lot from these principles so that we can be able to apply. Then we also have the IEE, Global Initiative on Ethics of Autonomous and Intelligent Systems, which are also playing very critical role in shaping up the policies that govern generative AI. Yeah, so this one I've already shared. This was enacted in March 13, 2024. It was very overwhelmingly supported. So the impact of AI in the legal profession so far, you realize that any law firms that are using AI have experienced enormous and significant impact in the way we practice. Especially for me, I have a personal experience in applying the system, different tools that are AI enabled, and there's a lot of improvement when it comes to enhanced productivity within the staff. We also have improved accuracy and consistency. We can use AI to do predictive analysis, analytics of documents. Then also there's client interaction and services. There's also cost reduction. So when we talk about enhanced productivity, that is because AI tools can be used to automate time-consuming tasks such as legal research, document drafting, and contract analysis. In accuracy and consistency, we can use AI systems to standardize the creation and review of legal documents, whereby we are reducing human error and also ensuring consistency across legal filings. Predictive analysis, we also use AI to enhance decision-making by predicting legal outcomes based on historical data. And also it will allow us as lawyers to better assess risks and craft strategies that are well thought, and also they are better informed when it comes to taking up cases for our clients. When it comes to client interaction and services, we have AI-driven chatbots. Personally, I have developed an AI agent for the law firm using generative AI tools. And also, so we are able to reduce the time where the client success officers have to keep on, back and forth with the client. So once you develop this, and then you integrate them to your inbound sources of your clients, if it's a WhatsApp or website or something like that, then you realize that your client interactions, whether new clients or even existing clients, that it becomes very easy. Then also cost reduction when you streamline operations by reducing the need for extensive manual labor, repetitive jobs, and everything. So you realize that you don't need a lot of manpower to manage some of these incoming emails and everything. I would like to just mention how AI has been adopted generally within the region. In 2021, there was a study that was done by Deloitte, and it showed that 62% of legal professionals say their firms are in the process of implementing AI into the practices. But in East Africa, it was only about 20%. So you realize that in our region, the uptake of AI is not really that much. But I believe that the statistics are improving day by day. When it comes to impact as well, you realize that firms that are using AI, they are reporting reduction of time spent on legal research and documents, even up to 50% of the time spent. So that means you reduce the time spent during tasks, and also you're also able to reduce the cost, because the more hours you use on a task, the more expensive that brief becomes. A specific case study by McKinsey law firm, Mark McKinsey, they estimated that AI can free up to even 23% of a lawyer's hours through automation of routine tasks like document generation, case predictions, and all that. So that's become a change. In Kenya, we also have firms that have taken up AI seriously, like Kaplan and Stratton. Allow me to go to the opportunities that are in the generative AI space, especially for us lawyers. We have AI regulations and governance. We have cybersecurity and data protection. We have healthcare and AI, international law and AI, and so forth. So you realize that as technology evolves, particularly in the realm of artificial intelligence, new legal challenges, practice areas are emerging. Because initially, we never used to have this kind of interactions. And the first thing you need to ask yourself is that for this to come into perspective, somebody came up with an idea. That's already an advancement in intellectual property. Then, of course, after that, there are users that usually have to use the technology. They are end users, they are consumers, they are shared partners. And of course, when everything happens like that, there are bound to be disputes coming up in different areas. And then, of course, there are collaborations between large organizations whereby they are sharing data, sharing information, partnering to do particular projects, and enabling technology, because this will be an enabling technology in most of the industries. So when this happens, there's so much that comes to play in terms of legal work that arises from the same. So if I can talk about cybersecurity and data protection. So AI's reliance on data highlights the importance of protecting against security breaches and also privacy violations. As you know, right now, data protection is very big, not just in East Africa, but also globally. Cross-border data protection, there's so much happening in the data space. So, and because AI generally will use data, there's a lot of legal issues coming up in the data space, and therefore that brings new practice areas and new challenges for lawyers to be able to take care of. When you talk about healthcare and AI's integration into healthcare, revolutionizing diagnosis, treatment, patient care, also brings up significant legal questions concerning liability and privacy, especially in cases of medical malpractices. We also have international law and AI. The global tenure of AI poses unique challenges for international law, requiring lawyers to navigate cross-border legal frameworks and collaborate on international regulations. So apart from that, you realize that other opportunities for lawyers using generative AI is that you can also use the same in marketing, because when you talk about content creation, you can use it in marketing to develop marketing content like legal blogs and articles that you can use so that you can be able to have a lot of information on your website or on other places that you need to post your work. So it becomes easy for you to be able to quickly share information without necessarily having to employ so many paralegals or research people to be able to generate information or content for you. So it can also be used in marketing of your law firm. And also when you use softwares and tools that are AI enabled in your marketing, you could reach many clients globally, as opposed to just doing the manual marketing that people use. And then you realize before you know it, your practice is global because you can use tools and technologies that are AI enabled, generative AI enabled, to reach out to your clients. Some of these technologies are even predicting how which person is looking for a service in Kenya, in Uganda, Tanzania. So they have that intention. They are able to predict the intention of a client, whether they're looking for a certain service, what is the likelihood of this client, buying a service from your farm. So applying those ones, then it really gives us an opportunity even to grow our practice. So the future of legal profession with AI, we can foresee increased AI integration. We are also looking at a situation where AI would be like a legal advisor at some point. Then there will be ethical AI frameworks, then cross-disciplinary AI solutions, global AI legal standards being developed. Yeah, so when it comes to increased AI integration, trends and future prediction on how AI will reshape the legal profession. It will become a staple in routine legal operations, driving efficiencies across case management, legal research, and documentation. As a legal advisor, future advancements might enable AI to just support, but not only support, but actively provide preliminary legal advice, especially in straightforward cases, whereby as long as the legal framework has been properly set, then you would realize that it will be possible that some people would prefer to get just some advice from AI-enabled softwares as opposed to just contacting a lawyer. Ethical AI frameworks. So as AI's role in legal decisions becomes more significant, comprehensive and ethical frameworks will be developed to govern its use, ensuring there's fairness, there's transparency, and accountability. This is more so because right now, most of us, we are not technology, savvy. And most of the information we just see, and most of the apps we just use, we also don't know what is the backend. We don't know what is happening at the backend. We don't know whether the people who are behind the scene, they're just giving us the information that we need to see only. We don't know how fair, transparent, accountability. We don't know what data, what governs this person who is preparing this to put this particular information and not the other information. So those frameworks, when they are developed, then it will be more credible for us to use it with confidence, as opposed to now when people are just, the developers are just doing a kind of a freelance kind of thing without any regulations. Then when it comes to cross-border disciplinary and AI solutions, AI will increasingly be integrated with other technologies such as blockchain for smart contracts, and also Internet of Things for real-time evidence gathering. So this will create more interconnected logical approach in legal practices. When global AI standards are developed, of course, there's uniformity, and standards of how AI is developed from a global perspective and the applications thereof. So what is the role of young lawyers in driving AI adoption and innovation? My first guess would be that young lawyers should be change agents, embracing the technology. The innovation will be very, very key to be key players in adopting and tailoring AI tools within your firms. And then, of course, there's AI literacy. You have the opportunity to learn and also to train on AI literacy in legal education, which is going to be very critical, because as young lawyers, you will need to understand both the capabilities and limitations of the AI, so that we don't rely too much on the same, and then we also look like we are robots. One thing that is clear is that AI can never replace the role of a lawyer entirely. The AI will give you exactly the output that you direct them to give you. So for example, if you have a wrong case strategy or your thought process is not okay, and then you feed that into the AI system, it will automatically give you an answer, but that is not the best. Why? Because you did not provide the right guidance or the right prompt into it. So we can also play a role as ethical pioneers, whereby as young professionals will be instrumental in framing the ethical considerations of AI in law, ensuring that AI evolves. As it evolves, it adheres to the core values of justice and equity without abuse and also misuse. Then, of course, as young lawyers, we're also called upon to be innovative incubators, whereby we can participate or initiate tech-driven legal startups in AI, particularly in generative AI. So we can develop new AI, we can develop new apps, we can have new thoughts, we can see how we can integrate tech and law in this particular space. And then, of course, be innovative incubators of this system. As I conclude, I want to say that AI is not just a tool of convenience, but it is becoming a fundamental component in the evolution of the legal practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Princess, for the very informative session. Thank you for taking us through what AI and Gen AI are. Thank you for taking us through the regulatory framework, opportunities and impact of AI, and of course, the role that young lawyers play in driving AI adoption and innovation. So hopefully the young on this call have also will lead to the call and play their part, and also learn to embrace AI instead of maybe feeling threatened by it. Now, moving on to the second panelist. This is Timothy. Mr. Timothy Kaja is a lecturer of law at Uganda Christian University in Kiambogo University, or Chiambogo, as they say, and Kampala International University. He is also an associate at KTA Advocates under the TMT and IP department. He is currently serving as the chairperson African Leaders in Sports Forum. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Mr. Timothy Kaja to share with us what he has prepared. Mr. Timothy, you're welcome.
All right. Thank you, David. Can I be heard, and can the screen, am I sharing the screen rightly?
Yes, I can hear you and see you, and also see your screen.
All right. Thank you, David, and thank you for the rest of the panelists. From what we've gotten a good background, I'll just be adding on snippets of it to help us put into context and also understand how we can better use generative AI in our days of practice as lawyers in the legal space, or also understand how others are using it in this modern era. So I'll give you just a brief contextual background of where we are, from where we've come from already. We've already seen enough or quite an amount for us to digest from Princess. We'll see what AI is helping us do, who is using it, how we can use it better, and the models that are available, and also points that we have to note while we are embracing the use of AI. So first, we must appreciate that we in the internet revolution, we are at what is referred to commonly as Web 3.0. But where did we come from to get to Web 3.4 or 3.0? So we'll go back to Web 1.0, where it's just where it was the first step where we created the internet. And at that point, the internet was only a place where you could go and garner information. That means that only those who had the capacity to upload information could be able to share, and us, all the rest of the public could be only on the receiving end. Fast forward to Web 2.0, where we have been for most of the many decades just that we are closing out at the moment, is where now, instead of us only consuming, we could also be able to communicate, interact with the web also upload. That's why we could have things like our Facebook, our social media, the Explorer, so that we are not only consuming what's available on the internet, but we are also adding to what is available on the internet. That means that you did not have studied or read something probably, let's say, from the US government, but you can also see something online from a colleague of yours, and you could also go ahead to comment and give us more perspective on what you see. That is Web 2.0. Now, Web 2.0 gave us a version where we began using something that is called data, which is the blood or the main driver or the oil and gas that helps the internet move at the moment, pulling us into Web 3.0 where we are at the moment. Now, here, we not only interact, read, or receive information, but we also create online worlds. So we create virtual worlds. And in addition to creating virtual worlds, you can create more and more virtual assets, and you can also ease the way in which we do our work online. And this is where we are. So it's not only you reading from the internet or seeing a post from a friend, commenting on it, but you can do a transaction. You can create art online. You can create music online. You can create your pleadings online. You can draft documents online. You can do your research online, prepare a moment online. So it's a virtual world where we can create more. And for today's purpose, just looking at legally, what can we create more in this virtual world? So some of the key talking points we've already had from our past presenters. So just to buttress more on machine learning, is that, like I said, from Web 2.0, what the blood that runs the system is really the data that they collect, or that the systems can collect. So what this data, what is collectible from all over the world, is what trains these machines to know what this means, what this is, get the answers from everywhere. So it's kind of a collection or a pool of all information that is available online. That's why data mining is such a key component to how these machines work. And from if they gather that, if the machines learn, then for them to serve you, they use what they call algorithms. These are like the veins that help these systems work. And algorithms are just there to know that probably person X probably has interest in the legal space, not generally in the legal space, probably has interest probably in construction law, contracts for construction law, feeding contract. This person has an interest in maritime law. So that by the time you probably go onto your social media platform, you will see ads that are relevant to that. Probably you will see an ad from a university that is teaching maritime law. If you have interest in maritime law, that means that the algorithm is collecting all the available data and feeding something directly that works for you, or at least how it profiles you. So this is all this comes from your what we call the digital footprint that tells these algorithms who can we target that will be interested in this kind of data that we avail to them. And of course, as things go on, and such as generative AI, is that now these systems use what they call large language learning models. That's why you have the likes of ChatGPT. That them again, but for it to be large and the languages, all this comes from the data that is fed into these machines to learn what they can then give it to you, and then that's how we create the Internet of Things, which is the IoT, which we have already seen earlier. So the IoT is a mixture of all that can support the framework that can help support all these systems and all our operations online in a way that pleases the users of such online applications. So coming closer to generative AI, so we've already seen what it is and what it does, but here we're going to see what it is doing at this point in time. So there is a survey of this year, released this year by LexisNexis, that shows us what mainly are we using generative AI in the legal space. Of course, legal advisory. Many people are no longer speaking to a lawyer. Many firms are no longer just brick and mortar. People just go online, and then there they can get legal advisory. Many times it may not be 360 online. Probably they will argue that from this, probably we'll recommend that you see an actual lawyer and break down the problem for us to give you a workable solution. But still, they can get legal advice online thanks to generative AI. The other is intellectual property watching. We know a lot of intellectual properties are spouting out across the globe. So it's hard to keep up if you're Coca-Cola, Pepsi, KFC, if you're Adidas, Nike. It's hard for you to have someone watch your brand across the globe. But AI can help us do that. So if you're having a client that is that has a global outreach, regional outreach for African perspective, you did not be flipping all the streets of Kampala, Nairobi, Kigali, Dar es Salaam to know who's breaching that copyright or that trademark, infringing on the trademark. Yet AI can help us study this and keep the intellectual properties of our clients safe. Then language translations and interpretations. We all know that from depending on which jurisdiction you are on, the courts have their own language that they call the official language of court. It could be English, could be Swahili, could be French. So that official language, but you may not receive documents in that official language. So how do you sit or go well with the rest of the system, especially if you're doing now cross-border practice? We have our friends in Bujumbura. They are largely and dominantly French speaking. So if you're interacting with people from Bujumbura and probably you are based in let's say you're based in Dodoma, how do you make that flawless? Now AI is here to help us give accurate translations, and even when it's not the court matter, just a transaction, and help us translate as we speak in real time. So in real time, one could be speaking French, the other could be speaking English, but they'll get the translations in real time. Then the legal assistance, almost especially the young lawyers who couldn't be probably in position to afford an executive assistant who you can pay a salary, but you can have an AI tool that can help you live up to all the benefits of having an AI assistant. They can help you schedule your calendars, pop up the meetings, send you the reminders, help you draft the many email that you have to respond to, help you do the billing, know which client has paid, which is yet to pay, follow up with those clients, track your action points, help you draft the ordinary documents, the routine ones, as we shall see as we go on with these presentations. Then the other is easing payments and accounts management. We know now big firms probably could have quite a number of clients, and it's hard to keep track of all of your finances with these clients. Who has paid what? The client, if as to start off with a case, the client has deposited probably, let's say, 5 million Uganda shillings, and you end up, if you don't watch well, you may end up using 7 million Uganda shillings to prosecute a case so that you paid on the 5 million shillings. But with AI, they can help you know that probably on this account, having paid only 5 million at the moment, that you've dispersed about probably 5 million. So you cannot disperse more before the client makes an extra payment to support their case. So such management systems are always available on AI. Client interactions, you've seen those, how you interact with your clients. You may not need to be physically in the same space. You may not be able to send a follow-up message to a client. You may not be able to schedule up a telemeeting with the client or be reminded of that telemeeting with the client. AI can help you do that. From the chatbots that can help you collect or retrieve data from your clients, feed it to you, and then also give you the options on how you could respond to the concerns that could be raised by your clients in the moment. Then the other is in the academia. Also, people in the academia, we are big on using AI. Many students are being creative with AI, of course, attain the cross borders and go into the realm of plagiarism. But for academic purposes, many people are reading, studying more, understanding what is happening across the globe with the help of AI. Then there are routine statutory applications. Many regulators are now having online platforms where you can submit applications. So if you to process trademark applications in Uganda, you need not interact physically with the trademark registry. And so it's on a platform. So this platform can be plugged into an AI system that can help you manage these applications, follow up on them, and also retrieve whatever you need to retrieve from such applications. Predicting legal outcomes and helping predict judges most suitable for your case is something that is not yet common here in around East Africa, but in the developed world, in the Western world, you could say the USA, or Western Europe, Central Europe, and probably in the parts of Canada, North America, even bits of Southeast Asia. So here, because of the models that are available and the data that is available, it's easy to know that if you have such a case, you can feed into the AI system and say, I have a case, these are the facts, this is where I'm best. And then I can be able to tell you whether it's a bad case, it's a good case, what are the strong points, what are the weak points, how can you win it, how can you lose it, and where you have the option to probably choose which arbitrator or which judge is most likely to side with you. Then the AI can help you say that probably judge X, Y, and Z, or arbitrator X, Y, and Z, who's more likely, depending on what he or she has been doing in the past, is more likely to side with your case, and so you should be able to opt for that judge or arbitrator. Writing judgments, we're going to see more about this. Judges in the Western world are already using AI models to help them craft judgments, help them answer questions that probably they could be biased or could not be positioned to answer by themselves. Then the other is targeted advertising. We've already spoken about this. Also, legal drafting and legal research, which was already highlighted. Something that we are yet to highlight is human resource recruitment and management. We have now AI models that can easily tell you if you have an opening, who's most suitable for this opening, so that you can directly headhunt for them. Also, if you're looking for a job, AI models can tell you where you're best, depending on your CV, where you stand a better chance to get to win up or to be given a job somewhere. So you did not just hover around and probably walk from the city from the north to the south, dropping your applications elsewhere. Yet the AI model can help you predict and say that depending on your CV and circumstances in the moment, you're best placed if you drop your applications in this way, and if you're to tailor your application, tailor it this way. Same for the employers. Instead of putting out a general advert, calling out the entire world to apply, you can easily use your AI models available and talking with platforms such as LinkedIn. They can easily tell that these people, if you have this vacancy, these people are good for the job. So you don't need to receive 1,000 applications and get lost in there with finding the best talent that could be able to serve you best. Yes. Yes, so we have a survey by Bloomberg Law that give us those results on where heavily are we using AI models in the legal space. Of course, legal research taking the biggest half of it. E-discovery, if you want to discover what, of course, this is a document probably you're preparing for a case. How can you do discovery of the proper document that you need to prosecute a case? That's where also it's going. We're big on that. Reviewing documents, another area that is being used. Drafting tools, contract management, litigation analytics, and compliance and risk analytics. So from that graph, it shows us where we are using AI heavily and where we're using it probably in a lesser space. This, for young lawyers, not only for you to look at it, but also to see where you can innovate around, because the creators that we see of many of these AI tools are persons that are also knowledgeable or experienced in the legal space. At least they partner with that, and so they create AI tools to service the gaps or the needs of the lawyers that are yet to be sufficiently serviced. Yes, and who are people using generative AI? Of course, lawyers. We see them polling fast. We see law students coming in also, and the academia people. We see clients. So it's not only the lawyers that are interacting with AI, but even our clients are quite well informed, and they could ask, or they are asking these generative AIs for their opinions before they come and collect your opinion. So it may not be too long where client tells that you gave me this opinion, but it contradicts with this position. Chances are that AI has helped them probably take note of the position, and they could be expecting you to give a similar position, or if not better. But if your position is quite different from that's given by the AI model, then you might want to have a reason as to why you would depart from it. People in the judiciary are also doing that. You're going to see study cases from Colombia, and also the regulators. Our regulators are also using AI to know how the market is responding, what are the gaps in the regulators. Because if you're regulating an industry, probably there are also clients, how to ensure consumer protection, how to ensure compliance, and all that. So even regulators are also on the lookout for the best AI models, and even some of them has gone as high as onboarding third parties also to develop their own AI models that best serve those regulators in given sectors or spaces. Yes, but now we've known that. But first question that we ask ourselves is that do we all buy into it? Do we all believe that this works? If it works, does it really work for the legal space? So at least 80% say yes, it works. I said, of course, this sample was taken on done by Thomson Reuters, and it was the test sample was using ChatGPT and other generative AI, but mainly ChatGPT. So 80% of the people would say that yes, AI does apply to legal work, so we need to live with it. But the question is, where does it apply, or should it be applied? Probably now with our next presenter, we'll see why then the number falls from 80 to 51. Well, those who say whether should we really proceed with using these generative AIs in legal practice, or we should cease, or there should be some safety valves. So at least almost half of the people that took part in this study were saying that we shouldn't be proceeding, although 82% were saying that yes, probably these things does work, and this thing does work. So what we see from there is now, because the reality is that probably by slim majority, one, of course, by big majority that this thing is here with us to stay. By slim majority, is probably we should be using it by just a slim majority. And of course, some of them would say they wouldn't take a position as whether we should use it or not. But that means that the reality is that it is here, and so it is up to us to learn how this can complement our works while we're serving people in the legal sector. But it's not automatic. See, these AI models are not as automatic as Google that when you put in X, you'll get Y. And they follow some position or principle that has been there, at least from the side of Web 2.0 that we saw much earlier, in that it's called this, summarized as GIG, which means it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't feed in correct data into these systems, then chances are the systems are not going to not give you the correct outputs or the suitable output. So you should be very, very, very cautious as to what you feed into these AI models for them to be able to serve you best. For this, because it's a practical session, so I've helped us design some guidelines that have been found to be useful on how we may go on and benefit from these AI models. And the technique that we use is now summarized as reason. So reason is something that can guide you for you to get the best out of any AI tool that you have, or that you're using, or that you could opt to use in servicing your clients, or even probably in your academia, writing a judgment, if probably you are an assistant to a judge or anything of the sort. So reason is just a short form, but to begin with R, that says the role. So because we say it comes from garbage in, garbage out, that means that you must be sure that you don't put any garbage into these systems, because if you do, the systems are going to give that garbage back to you. So you must understand the role. If you're to use let's say you're going to use ChatGPT, you're going to ask it something. First, let it know its role, so that it can position itself from that point of view. So is it going to be a judge? Is it going to be probably an attorney? Is it a client? Is it a what? You should tell it to take a position, and that will be its role. So that will be its main point of view. So as an example, if you're going to, if you're handling the land transaction and you wish to handle it with support of an AI tool, so it's easier if you, instead of telling the AI model, because you're just going to log into your ChatGPT public version 4, just say, draft for me an agreement for sale of land. Then that is so blanket. So blanket. Chances are high that it won't do a good job. But if you tell it that, imagine you are an attorney, you're representing a client, probably representing the seller, please, so that is the start. So you're giving it the role. So you're telling us you're an attorney representing a seller, and this there is a land transaction. So it takes into consideration its algorithms are studying where you're directing it to. Then the I is the input or the instruction. So if you tell the AI to take a position, then you also want to ask it, also want to tell it what your ask is. If it's an attorney representing probably a seller in a land transaction, what do you want it to do? Then please ask, you may ask it that probably draft for you a land sale agreement between X and Y, and you also might want to give it the jurisdiction, because the laws that apply in probably in Kenya may not be probably principles are different principles of land ownership. Quite different from Kenya, quite different from Tanzania, quite different from Uganda, South Sudan. So you must tell it that, okay, you want a land agreement, is doing you are not only presenting the seller, you want a land agreement, and this is where you're best. So the steps, so if you want something that is particular, you must tell the steps that it should take. This is what you should consider. Probably one say that my page one should have on the parties, the page two should have the recitals, my page three should have the pricing, the terms of payment. So guide it as much as possible. Don't rush into prompting it with your question. Give it a detailed as much detail as you can for it to be able to give you a good output. Then number 4 for E is the expectation. Tell it what you expect. That agreement that you want it to draft, is it a template for a law firm? Is it a coursework sample? Are you doing an actual transaction? So you must tell it what you expect at the end of the day. I expect to get a final agreement that I'm going to use between these parties, and so that's what you expect. So you don't expect it to give you a template. That means that probably if you give you a template, probably it won't give you this because the template that you will use openly. If it's specific, probably want to say that I want to use this agreement, the transaction probably will happen probably on the 10th day of May 2024, that you can have all that information accurately represented. Then the other one is narrowing down your instructions. So you've told it what you want. You may also go ahead and tell it what you don't want. Probably you could say, don't include any obligations for the third parties. Don't presume X, Y, and Z. Don't. So you must give it its don'ts, so that it does not capture something that you don't intend to capture. Or if the parties probably have already told you that, please, we will not be public. The seller says, I will not be taking care of taxes payable on this transaction. You can easily tell it, in your don'ts, please don't make the seller of the land take care of the tax obligations under this transaction. So with reason, you'll be more assured of getting at least better results. And if you have feedback from an AI, generative AI tool, it's always okay after the first prompt you probably ask it to do something, probably feel something is missing. You can make that conversation continuous. And even like we've already seen from presentation, even you can involve when you know that something emotional is probably because say, I'm not happy with this template. Probably this template is lacking this template. It will read that and probably ask you, please give me a more detailed version. Please give me a summarized version. Please give me at least anything that you want to put it as you may. So feel free to continue a conversation with these AI tools for them to refine and get you something ideal. And you need not restart. Every time you restart, you lose the history. Because like I said, every time you feed into the data, the algorithm read that, they train themselves and they get better. So don't you lose your record before you close out or open up several windows or to work on the same thing. Stay on the same window, and that tool will go on refining to give you the best that you want to see out of it. So next, I would also wish to highlight some of the major tools that are on the market at the moment that are available and what they do. And we'll start with Legal Robot. This one is mostly on drafting of legal documents, the contracts and everything they are there. They also do not, second I want to also bring to attention is Do Not Pay. This one it's more interactive, but also even the our clients can use it, so you can ask it questions on small complaints. And even this one, you must tell it the jurisdiction in which you want to be based. Now you want to be aware that because many of these AI models are not built locally, their perspective, if you don't limit it, or if you don't agree that probably you're not in the US, you're not based in the UK, you're not based in China, their first default legal regime will be the legal regime from which it's made. So you want to make it clear that probably I'm based here, that it knows that probably you're not subject to Californian law, you're not subject to Portuguese law, so that it knows very well which laws you're subject to. Then the other one is the AI lawyer. Also, it also helps you in research and reviews, comparing documents, and doing reviews of many of the documents that you may have done. So this one can be a primary and both primary and a secondary generator of data that you'd want it to base on. The other one is case text. This one is very big on legal research because it has lots of case law regulations, and has primary secondary sources that can help you do some research. That's why if you want it to be mostly rich on case law and statutory law, but again beware that its default the more these AI tools from where they are made, the more they leave the Western world, the more they leave Western and Central Europe. As probably you're based, the more you probably say you're based in Chigali, the more it's farther away from the states, the chances are that it may not be as accurate as well, because it may not know the laws that were passed in South Sudan just yesterday, you know the policies there. So every time you're farther from those centers of innovation, farther from Silicon Valley, you're farther from Beijing, China. So you would want to do also your DAO work as much as possible. So it may give you the basic principles because they are quite similar, especially if you're probably it's common law, American law. The principles are quite similar, but you want to refine it at the end of the day because whatever they're based on is not the gospel truth as the position of the law in these parts of the world. The others are really latch up. This is helps us probably in managing our operations in the farm, if you want the billing, sending updates, managing clients' accounts. So that one large is at global level, but I also put there smart case because smart case is by a Ugandan innovator. It can you can save your documents there, probably have your diaries there, have meetings on there. Everything can be done on a latch, which we have a local equivalent, which is smart case. Now, because this one is a local model, chances are high that it captures well the local context than if you go something that is probably a global model that may have considerations that may not be applicable locally, depending on where you're based at. Then ClickUp, this one is many of us, we have email that we ponder about or about when to respond to. So ClickUp is one that can help you respond to those emails, summarize documents, summarize meeting. So this is more of like your legal assistant just there on the way. If you cannot afford to have a natural person as your legal assistant, this ClickUp is one such one that can help you do that. The other is Loggeek. Now Loggeek is big on review. So it can help you review whatever you're doing, whether it is probably if you've drafted the documents, you want to check out whether it's stick with the applicable legal regime, the applicable institution and policy frameworks. So Loggeek can help you do that. Then I want to end with Go Counsel, which is a tool developed by Thomson Reuters, which is, because at the moment it's fairly one of the biggest, because it encompasses many of these abilities all in one. And also what is interesting to note is that Thomson Reuters is for starters, it started out as a media house, but now you can see a media house having a big chunk of services that are provided in the legal space. So the competition is not only lawyers, but even not only law firms, but even media houses and they want to take a bite of the cherry in the legal space. So Go Counsel really does a lot. It helps you if those with litigation, if you want to prepare for cross-examining your witnesses or examining can give you the questions, the points that points to focus on, what to ask on, what not to ask on, what to avoid, who to interview can help you do that. Of course, your database review, document review, summarizing your documents, extracting important data from contracts or probably want to discoveries, can all do that. Also helping you with compliance if you're drafting a policy, a contract, or even if you're doing probably you're doing you're preparing documents probably for a club, let's say an association, the constitution of an association can help you make sure that you've ticked all these boxes. And then customizing your language, how you want your language, the product to be, probably if you want to be strong, if you want to be modest, want to be diplomatic, it can help you do all this. And it also helps you study the course of handling instruction. Probably say by this time we're submitting an application, having a follow-up meeting, we are supplementing on the application, all that. So it helps you, gives you a 360 view of how you can handle given instruction, whether it's in a corporate space or transaction, or it's in the litigation space. So Go Counsel is one of the best available at the moment, but you're saying that it's from what is predominantly a media house. Yes, I also want to give us some highlight cases so that these things are happening right now, because many of us, when we hear about this, about the thing that these things are 100 years away from us, but it's I want to show us that it's happening in our time. So the first one I want to refer to is the case of Salvador Espita Ches. This is one of the judges there used ChatGPT itself to help guide in drafting a decision as to whether the minor, an autistic minor, should be able to go scot-free on in terms of paying fees for medical therapies. So the judge, in their judgment, if you can find a judgment, they go on to show you how they fed questions into a generative AI and what responses did they get from generative AI. And at least this judge was not afraid to go on record. The judge is based in Colombia. Was not afraid to go on record to show us that as a judge, at the moment, they are using these generative AI tools to guide them. And probably could say, from that case, if you read it in Memento, you can say that probably what they were looking at this generative AI tool as an expert witness and an unbiased witness. So they're asking if you feel that probably witness that you have are biased, the experts that are being brought to you are biased, everyone's giving you an opinion biased in their favor. So he relied on ChatGPT that he thought probably was objective to get the responses. And the ChatGPT did agree with what he thought, and his ruling was in line with what ChatGPT was pointing at to. Then the other one, Roberta Mata and Bianca, this one is from US, New York. Now here, it shows us that we have, it's on us to double check whatever we get from these generative AI models, because yes, they can mislead us. And like I said, the farther you are from this developed world, then the more the chances that that generative AI may mislead you or may give you something that is wrong. So we have here two lawyers who went to ChatGPT and looking for authorities. And when they requested this ChatGPT to give them authorities in a given case, because probably you also need to understand that these generative AIs are never designed to say that they don't know. They are designed to give you a response every time you ask. So this time around, they had no response, and they made out their authorities out of thin air and even gave citations. And these lawyers went ahead and put that in their pleadings in their submission before the judge. And the judge, when on verification, the cases were, of course, the principles were, everything was aligned, but on verifying, these cases were really non-existent. And so these lawyers were fined $5,000 for not upholding their duty to court or for misleading court. We have our duties court as advocates. So the judge found that by them exposing the court to something that has just been coined out of thin air by a generative AI was below standard, and so they were fined jointly $5,000 US dollars for that. So you also don't want to be that, don't want to say that what these models will give you is the gospel truth. No, it isn't. You must be on homework. These are just here to support us, to make us better lawyers, but not turning themselves. It's not us, they're here to make us better lawyers, but it's not us to make them the lawyers that our clients are looking for. No, we have to remain as the lawyers that we're trained to do so, and can only use these generative AI models to support the work that we do. Yes, so the key, what to consider while using this, of course, you've already seen data protection and privacy is very key. You must consider this information security. You must have frameworks that safeguard this model, because this is data, this is class data. So if there is any breach, you can also be taken on for flaws in data protection and privacy. The inaccurate results, which, like I will say, I cannot emphasize this any more than this, that please look out, don't take whatever you get from the AI as generative proof. You must do your double check. If you get a case, a citation, first make sure that the case indeed exists. Don't take it that it's there. If they give you a portion of the law, first make sure that that is a portion of the law. Refer to the ordinary material just to confirm yourself and be sure that what you have is indeed the position and that is correct. Also, the biases in the AI, because many of these models again are made from the Western world, the Gulf world, probably in Asian, and probably us in this part of the world. We are good, we're good innovators, but not there yet. So we rely heavily on models from elsewhere. These models come with their biases, especially you can see that from how the Black community in the US was affected by AI policing. Because AI was of the view that if you're Black, chances are high that you're more susceptible to commit a crime than if you're white. So these biases, unfortunately, still exist in the AI models that we use. So you also want to be careful, especially if you're a regulator or you're a judge, probably want to use an AI model to guide you on whether you should grant bail or not. If that person is Black, probably the AI will think that probably the chances are high that that person may skip bail, and so they may not, AI may not be pro-bail that person because of the bias in the creators of these AI models. So you also want to be alive to that. Also having special trainings, so you can't just assume that you know it, and having this one of webinars by ELS is one of a positive steps in that direction. So we need to train ourselves, keep learning more, and know, because like we've heard from our past presenters, that things keep changing on almost a daily. So you want, even if you know now, what is true today may not be true tomorrow. So you want to keep learning and don't tire when you're learning, and on how to keep yourself abreast with the developments in AI and legal practice. That is it for now for my end. So I'll wait for the questions, if any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Timothy, for your presentation. I would now like to invite Mr. Willie Robert, and before he takes over to present, I would like to briefly let you know about who Mr. Willie is. Mr. Willie Robert is the President, Robert & Co. Advocates, based in Bujumbura, Burundi. He heads 3 sectors within Robert & Co. Advocates, including employment, finance and projects, and real estate. He advises clients across the full spectrum of the employment relationship, from attracting and retaining talent to effectively managing the termination of employment relationships. In addition, he provides strategic advice that maximizes project value and mitigates risks, exposure in structuring, negotiation, documenting projects being developed or financed by local commercial banks and financial institutions. His clients range from local and offshore financial corporations that enter into local and offshore financial transactions. He works across the full extent of real estate projects, including but not limited to negotiation, drafting, execution of lease, leasing, processing, and/or release of business, turnover, compensation, occupation, and eviction indemnity. He also advises corporate and residential property owners, managers and occupiers, and developers of commercial, retail, industrial, and residential properties. He has experience advising on telecommunication matters, as well as in drafting the second edition of the Codes and Laws of Burundi on the organization, competence, and function of civil and criminal procedures. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Mr. Will Robert, who will take us through his part on challenges and ethical considerations while using generative AI. Mr. Willie Robert, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much for welcoming me. It is my pleasure meeting you, all of you. I'm really sorry I cannot switch on my phone, but let me go straight to the topic. Let me start with the challenges while using GenAI. First, many companies and law firms, large and small, are still grappling with how to integrate traditional AI, such as rule-based algorithm and machine learning, into their operation. At the best, they are in exploratory phase with traditional AI, and at worst, they are simply feeling lost. Secondly, GenAI is far more complex, and it's geared to serve specific purpose. While it's able to write a 1,000-word report in no time, it cannot, for example, do a basic data entry task like extracting, classifying driver license data that traditional AI can do easily. Thirdly, the long-term implication of adapting GenAI, such as the long-term costs and the impact of current and future regulation, are still uncertain. To use the current situation throw us back to just before the millennium, while companies back then may have seen the need for setting up websites, few could clearly see the specific roles that the wider internet will play as an integral part of omnichannel strategies, let alone across devices and as phone apps. I want to share with you a key consideration to take advantage of GenAI. We need really to choose performance over novelty. For example, for instance, while ChatGPT is for the moment better at handling words and languages, we have found that traditional deep learning models deliver much better results at processing images. Another discovery is in one product we have built, they found that ChatGPT-4 is better at understanding user queries, while version 3.5 is faster and better at converting processed outputs into responses to users. We need to combine GenAI with the power of vector database. This is a new form of database that specializes in retrieving the closest matching records to the best answer specific queries. Law firm can use a GenAI such as ChatGPT to break down users' queries and then use a vector database to look for the best answers that match those parameters. And we don't have to forget human in the loop. As ever, no matter how powerful AI technologies seem to be, their ability are only as good as how much humans are involved. This is not different for GenAI. Humans plays a critical role in guiding GenAI toward business goals, managing interaction with the IT systems, designing the action required for data going to and coming out of AI models, as well as mitigating hallucinations. The made-up of outright false information produced by GenAI that remain a major problem of GenAI today. You have to trace your data. While the problem of hallucination remains rampant, it's important to establish clear trail from data source all of the way to end users. Traceability enables users to know the original source of data, which bolsters reliability or trustworthiness of the GI output, thereby creating a stronger foundation for informed decision-making. We need to have also a realistic expectations. As said during the last presentation, we need really to know what we are expecting for the GenAI we are choosing. And that brings me to the second point, which is the ethical and practical implication of GenAI algorithm in legal decision-making. GenAI is increasingly relevant in legal practice, and lawyers need to be aware of its benefit and risk to effectively serve their clients and organizations. As AI tools became more prevalent in courtroom, transparency, accountability, and human oversight are crucial to uphold justice and prevent biases. Legal practices, but enhancing tasks such as contract review, document retrieval, and even predicting legal outcomes, necessitating a reorientation of skills for lawyers. Lawyers must ensure that the use of AI complements their judgments and adheres to ethical and regulatory standards to maintain professional integrity. GenAI is increasingly relevant in legal practice, and lawyers need to be aware of its benefits and risks to effectively serve their clients and organization. As AI tools become more prevalent, as said in the courtroom, transparency and accountability must be really regarded seriously. And the legal industry, as we are, must be informed and continuously adapted to AI development to balance innovation with traditional legal values and ensure ethical AI integration. And congratulations for that to ELS for giving us this opportunity to share those insights. What are the ethical considerations to be made while using GenAI? Here is a quick checklist for ethical AI use in legal practice. We need to verify AI's sources for credibility and neutrality. To assess AI's decision-making process for transparency, to ensure client data is secure and private, and stay informed on AI advanced ethical implication. And I think many have been said. I can stop here and wait for questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Willie Robert. We appreciate all the panelists that have already shared what they're prepared to share with us today. Now, I would like to invite questions. I'd like to invite questions, and I can see in the Q&A box, there's a number of questions. I'll begin with the first question from Martin. He asks, how accessible is legal AI software? I know, for instance, legal review software is not easily affordable for most. Is there a panelist that would like to take this on?
Hello, David.
Perhaps, yes.
Yes, yes. Now, as to availability, in terms of accessibility, they are accessible world over. But unfortunately, there is a price tag to it. That is a sad reality. But there are those that have, probably what you can do is that you can subscribe to them because they have different versions. So they have the open versions, but you must, of course, submit in your data so that they can also put it in their database. And then, so you don't have full access to probably, it cannot give you all the functions that probably paid up member may get. But even some for what we commonly known ChatGPT, what we use is if you haven't paid, what you use is the free version. So many of them have free versions that you can benefit from for the start, but you won't have full access to their capabilities if you are not able to pay them. And of course, their payments would range from about $2 to $100 probably annually. Many of them, the subscriptions are annual, while a few of them, their subscriptions are monthly. That's what I can say for now.
Thank you very much. If I have to add something, I think the question of affordability is still an issue. You know, when you need to have that kind of AI able to help you, you cannot feed your own the information gathered from the clients to that open AI. So I think it's better when for some law firms to go together and to try to get that kind of AI tool to be able really to have good information, to have a reliable solution needed. Otherwise, you know, those are free. You cannot really expect to get better good service from them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert and Mr. Kaja. For the next question from Sarah, she says, as generative AI is feeding on data feed by users, raises a lot of issues like biasness. How can a lawyer, an East African practitioner, overcome this challenge as considers race and location, and bearing in mind it doesn't have the I-person perspective instances, Black Elon Musk, and security issues?
If I can respond to Sarah, the fact that that is a sad reality. And even if we were to make our own models, probably in East Africa, those models will still need data because, like I said, data is all that runs all these models. I probably will be paying it to another person, and probably not the Elon Musk's of this world. But for at least to narrow it down for AI in legal practice. We have innovators here, and some young people here who are afraid about smart cases by Ugandan. There is an application called Fameron. It's also by another young Ugandan lawyer. So if we also begin to innovate, and of course it comes from this government policies setting up and supporting innovation labs in and around East Africa. If these labs are there to create ample space for many people to come out and create, and lawyers partnering with these computer scientists, then we can create our own models that don't have many of these biases and that are more appreciative of the local landscape than when you just use something that was made from Silicon Valley. So it's up to us to be innovative. It's up to us to talk with the computer scientists to work things around it that provide solutions in legal practice. And of course, even that will be based on the data that will be harvested here locally. So it's only us to innovate, but still, even those people will need data. The only thing that will change is probably the money and the data will go to a local innovator as opposed to going somewhere in probably in China or in USA. That is it for me, David.
Okay, thank you very much, Timothy. Another question by Sarah is, how can explainability and transparency be incorporated into generative legal AI to allow law professionals to understand the reasoning behind the tool's outputs and assess potential bias? Yes, Princess, I've seen you'd like to answer this.
Yes, I want to just say something about the question. When it comes to addressing biasness in AI or generally generative AI, it's not something that can be achieved with one person. There will be need for collaborative efforts between developers, between policymakers, between users. A collaborative effort that can help improve biasness, transparency, and also the quality of the output that we receive. For example, we can encourage model transparency. Most of the time, if we have open architecture, like using open source models, whereby there's detailed documentation on the AI models architecture, this can help us. It can really help us to understand how the AI processes information. Then, of course, the versions of the models, if there is open communication and disclosures, so that we maintain detailed records of different versions of the AI systems, that can really help. Then another thing that can help is feature explanations, because when the models are developed, the people in the backend should be able to show us what the features that are there, the importance, the techniques used, the phrases, the documents, all the way, and how they influence the decision-making process. So this can also be very useful. And also probably also using case-based reasoning, where we integrate examples of similar past cases or precedents that influence the AI's output. So I believe that can be really helpful. Another way we can also help is to justify the decisions. For example, the decision pathways, as much as possible, we provide traceable decision pathways that can outline the steps that the AI usually take to arrive at a conclusion. Event scoring can also be useful. And then feedback from the users is very important. So the AI should be able to provide feedback mechanisms and then query capabilities, so that as users, we can be able to give feedback on the output. And also we can also share our experience when it comes to the same, because we can use different testing methods and then we give feedback so that we can, without that user interface, then it will not be possible for us to be able to share our experience. Then we can also have mechanism where we can detect bias and also be mitigation factors. For example, system audits. It can also be very helpful, whereby we can detect inaccuracies, and also it is recommended that you can use maybe third parties for doing those system audits. It can really be helpful. And of course, using diversity of data, with all the partners and parties involved, then we can have recommendations on the kind of data that we should, put and improve over time so that it can be helpful. For example, different demographics to minimize biases so that we don't have just data from US only or from a certain jurisdiction. And then it's the same data that we're using in Kenya, whereby we have cultural differences. So I think that can really be good. And then ultimately, we need regulatory compliance, whereby those compliance policies and laws, when they are adhered, then of course the enforcement officers like us lawyers, then we'll be able to test case and see whether these regulations have been complied with, ensure the systems are compliant with existing legal and ethical standards, so that, for example, data protection, privacy, non-discrimination, things like that. And if possible, we can also have documentation and reporting mechanisms so that the standards are above board, the reporting procedures that record how the AI systems is used, decision-making, such kind of documentation and reporting can really play a big role in ensuring that we take care of biasness. So I think that could answer the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Princess. Moving on to the next question. Is someone speaking? Moving on to the next question from Gilbert. The question is, as young lawyers, what can we do for choosing legal field which is more practical to GenAI? Is there a panelist that would like to address this? Perhaps, Princess, since you covered a part on the role of young lawyers. Ms. Princess, can you take this question? Or Timothy, on the role of young lawyers? What can young lawyers do to choose a legal field which is more practical to generative AI?
Yes. Now, what young lawyers can do, first of all, the field, generative AI is independent of the field that you may want to choose, because it's something that cuts across. Probably we have seen where it's heavily used, and that is in probably legal drafting, the documentation being prepared. But they cut across. They cut across in land, they cut across. So it may not be able to choose which field. But what you can do is really to harness the benefits that we can get from AI as young lawyers. And probably one of the, if you want, can I call it a field, but if you want to exploit what is there, is that if you can also, instead of becoming a consumer, if you can be part of the innovators around that, that would be awesome, because these products are on market and they're easily marketable. So if you can identify a pain point in legal practice and probably you partner up and partner with probably a computer scientist or a software engineer, and then develop something that can solve that problem. Like I've told the young lawyer called Kenneth Kahuma Terry, who developed an app called Fameron that helps connects helps clients interact with lawyers remotely. Then you can also be able to not only use but also benefit. Even the benefits could be financial for people using such development. So probably if something that say specializing in innovation or exploiting that gap, innovate around that and have these products available on the market, there will be market for people to use them. Yes, that is it from me.
I wish to add something on that. I think I've touched a little bit that question. We as a young lawyers or lawyers in general, I think we need really to choose something with fitting with our needs, not really the novelty, as I said, because we have so different GenAI, as said by Timothy, for specific purpose. We need really to know what we need before to choose what we can go for. And the other thing is that we need to stay realistic, to have a realistic expectation. We cannot get all in one. It's really difficult to get that. Thank you.
Thank you. There are two similar questions from Sarah and Razana, so I'll just add on to, I'll just join them. The question is on how you can address misuse of generative AI for deceptive or fraudulent purposes. And if you can also provide tips on how lawyers can effectively use generative AI in order to avoid illegal actions that can come with generative AI. Timothy, perhaps you could address this?
Yes, on that one, probably it came before my presentation, but if you read through, and we're going to share this after, it can guide you on how you can better use it or answer those questions squarely. So we'll share our presentation after this, just for everyone to have it on their record.
Okay, thank you, Timothy. Another question from Helen asks, what regulatory frameworks are in place to deal with the disadvantages of AI in terms of reduction of work for the lawyers? It seems in the near future, AI might take over the legal practice space and render lawyers redundant. And I think this has been shared concern by a number of lawyers. So is there any panelists that would like to address this matter?
On the framework, if I can come in on that, the framework really is not there to stop AI from doing what lawyers can do. The framework is on aspects of data protection. It's on frameworks of data privacy and data security. So that's what the legislators look at. But in the Western world, even there now then in the Western world, the fear is the existential threat, saying that unregulated AI may end up being a danger to our own existence. That is a danger. So there was just a UN resolution, UN Security Council resolution that was passed mid last month, and also in 2013, Princess has shared with us the EU Act on AI, and of course, even had a conference sort of there in on how to better use AI. So the regulatory approach is just to make sure that it is safe and that personal data is not abused or sold wantonly. But it's not there so that AI should not take over what lawyers do. But probably as a safety valve, AI does not meet the qualifications of legal practice. That means an AI model or a robot cannot stand there and practice law. It is there to supplement the work that is done by a lawyer who is qualified to practice in that profession. So the bad news is that you cannot stop AI from doing what you can do, something like legal drafting or something. The only good news is that AI cannot work alone. AI cannot work on this alone. AI is there to supplement the works of the lawyers and not to be the lawyer in itself. We've seen cases where judges are finding lawyers who think that AI is the lawyer. So AI is not the lawyer. AI is there to support the lawyer or make you a better lawyer. And the rest is really beyond what we may wish to have. You cannot stop AI, but you can only use it to supplement our qualities as good lawyers. Yes, that is it for me, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Timothy. Hopefully you have helped to also calm everybody who had that worry and doubt. And I don't see any other questions, and I'm aware that we are also out of time. So I wanted to thank all of the panelists. Thank you very much for being here today, for sharing very crucial information with us. And I would like to also thank the attendees being with us from the beginning to the end of the session. And also thank you to the East Africa Law Society and the Young Lawyers Committee for organizing this session. Hopefully you've learned something and will make it and will use what you have learned in your daily legal practice. So thank you very much, and I wish you a great evening. I now hand this over back to the East Africa Law Society.
Thank you so much, my brother Leons, for moderating this session. Indeed, it's been quite informative. A big shout outs and vote of thanks goes to our esteemed panelists, Senior Counsel and Past President, Mr. Willie Rubeya. Thank you so much for taking off time in your very busy schedule to joining us in this very informative session. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. We really do appreciate you. Thank you so much to our panelists, Princess Caroline Mutisia, a very busy, very busy lady. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and knowledge with us. It's been quite informative and impactful for us as young lawyers, but also as lawyers out there in practice. Thank you so much, Princess Mutisia, for always loving the East Africa Law Society and for always being available when called upon. For my brother, Timothy Kaja, thank you. It's always a pleasure to host you for our sports law webinars for the young lawyers. It's so nice learning from you every day. Thank you. And to you, our esteemed participants, thank you for always taking time and joining us every afternoon on Tuesday and Thursday for these very impactful sessions. We do not take it for granted that you spare your time to come and learn alongside with us. Now, next week, we do have another informative session on banking and securities. Are you interested in knowing about the law on enforcement of banking and securities in East Africa? Yeah, so we have a fully composed panel of 6 experts from across the partner states who are going to share with us the different experiences they have in the different partner states on how they enforce banking and securities and what are the security risks. Because now we've discussed AI, and so we want to know what impact does AI have on banking and securities. You do not want to miss that session. So from us to you, we'd like to thank you. Next week, we also have one on intellectual property. Please feel free when you see the flyers out, register and share to a friend. You never know how it impacts them. We will give out certificates of attendance to every attendee who participated in this webinar session, and we'll also give out a certificate of appreciation for our esteemed panelists for sparing their time and giving us this very wonderful session. From us to you, we would love to wish a very lovely afternoon, and till we meet again next week, be blessed and have a lovely weekend. Goodbye.